It may have taken 2 days to wind up, but what an innings it was, and what a win. Now, it is a record for India against Pakistan, but there's so much more that is packed in that match that was played over 2 days, and Akash is going to take us through most of that. Akash, let's begin first with Virat Kohli.
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic, player to begin with, because right now, of course, Virat is in very, very good form, and it bodes really, really well for Team India, considering the fact that the World Cup is now pretty much around the corner, right? And Virat's form is a great, great boon and a shot in the arm for Team India. Now, what happened in this particular match is not a surprise at all. He remained unbeaten on 122. That strike rate was touching 139 fours and 3 sixes against Pakistan. And when you talk about the men in green, Ketki, this is a team that almost always brings out the best in Virat Kohli. There's a switch that goes on in Virat's brain, because he feels that he has to go out there and do well in a match against the traditional arch rivals. India-Pakistan, of course, don't play bilateral cricket anymore, so we don't get to see this contest. So whenever there is an India-Pakistan match happening, it assumes greater significance. And when it comes to something like the Asia Cup, which for these two teams, I would say is just a rung below the World Cup, because this, after all, is a race for the crown for who's the best in Asia. You know that someone like a Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Hardik Pandya, these guys have that switch that we have to go out there and play well. So it wasn't a surprise to see Virat doing so well. What was also good to see is that Virat doing so well at number 3. Now, there have been a few questions asked about whether someone like an Ishan Kishan, who before this match, remember, scored 4 consecutive half centuries for India in the ODI format, whether he should be pushed up the order, because when you do that, you bring a left-hander into the mix very, very quickly, right at the fall of the first wicket. But it's good to see that Team India is not really experimenting with all of that. Yes, head coach Rahul Dravid has faced his share of criticism for perhaps not thinking out of the box too much, but this is something which, in my opinion, KP, is something that you should not change. Don't fix something that is not broken. So it's great to see Virat come out at number 3 and go hammer and tongs. At the end of the day, a 47th ODI century for Virat Kohli. And he is now incredibly just 2 behind the all-time record that's held still, of course, by the great Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin, of course, remember, scored 49 ODI centuries, but if you look at the innings taken, Sachin took 452 innings to get to 49 ODI centuries. Virat, who's number 2 on the all-time ODI centuries list, has taken just 267 innings to get to 47 ODI centuries. His strike rate, a fantastic 93.85, touching almost 94, and more than that, the average 57.62. A modern day great, a chase master, someone who fires on all guns in the big matches, a prolific run scorer. We've run out of sort of adjectives for Virat Kohli, and just fantastic really to see him continue to push that bar higher and higher for himself, because he has nothing left to prove to anybody. This man has really pretty much done everything, but he's pushing the bar higher and higher for himself. And again, like I said, great sides for India going into the home World Cup.
And that is also something that India will take heart from, not just the records that Virat Kohli is making or breaking, but also the fact that KL Rahul, so much controversy around his comeback. He not only got a century, he also should be relieved, but so will Team India.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head, KP. Team India will be very, very relieved, especially the likes of Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid, the captain and the head coach, because they did face quite a bit of criticism, because remember, their inputs are always essential and very important when a team is being selected. The selectors, of course, did get a lot of backlash when KL Rahul was picked, especially for the World Cup, and even when he was picked for the Asia Cup, the team press conference that happened, Ajit Agarkar, the head selector, had said that KL will not be available perhaps for the first 2 to 3 matches, because he's still carrying a niggle. It's different from the thigh injury we were told that he picked up in the IPL earlier this year, which has, of course, kept him on the sidelines for a while before this tournament. But the fact that there is a player who's carrying a niggle and is being selected in the squad, it was natural that there was going to be criticism. But what's fantastic to see is that KL comes out. He bats at number 4, which is the position that we are expecting KL to bat even in the World Cup. And not just that, he scores a century, 111 not out of 106 balls, a strike rate of over 104, 12 fours, 2 sixes, forms that fantastic partnership of 233, unbeaten partnership with Virat Kohli. And more than that, for me personally, more than his batting skills, the fact that he kept wickets. Now, there were reports that came out, and we saw some visuals also of KL keeping wickets in the nets ahead of the match. It was good to see him keep wickets here as well, because remember, everything said and done, in the larger scheme of things, KL Rahul is India's #1 choice as wicketkeeper batter at a time when Rishabh Pant is not in.
And speaking of KL Rahul and wicket keeping, there was this one particular thing that happened during the match, particularly with the Pakistan batsman, Agha Salman.
Correct.
What exactly happened there? Because KL Rahul is getting a lot of praise for what he did after.
Well, it was really good to see sort of that act of sportsmanship that KL displayed. What really happened was Agha Salman was batting. He wasn't wearing a helmet, and it wasn't surprising to see that he wasn't wearing a helmet, because at that time Ravindra Jadeja, spinner, was bowling. So a lot of batsmen across the world, they don't wear helmets because they like to see the ball clearly, because obviously it's not coming as quickly as when a pacer is bowling. But on this occasion, he tried to paddle sweep Jadeja, and he misjudged the length of the ball completely. So he missed the ball, and as a result of that, the ball went and hit his cheek, and it was right under his eye. In fact, he was very, very fortunate, KP, that this didn't turn out to be a much more serious injury. There was a cut, there was some blood involved, of course. The physio came onto the ground. It was fantastic to see KL Rahul, because he was keeping, come out and immediately show a lot of concern, checking to see how Agha Salman was doing, making sure that he was in a good frame of mind at that point in time, because whenever something like this happens, a batter is shaken, whether he's hit on the cheek, on the nose, and God forbid, the head. And this is something, especially after Phil Hughes, the entire cricketing fraternity is very, very, very off. They're careful when something like this happens, and everyone, more often than not, you'll see players rushing in to check that the batter is okay. So it was good to see KL Rahul showing that kind of concern. We have seen acts of camaraderie and sportsmanship between Indian and Pakistani cricketers of late, much more than what we used to see in the 1980s and 1990s. Some people, in fact, feel it's not a good thing, because they want to go back to the days when they were always at loggerheads. But the current cricketers say, leave all of that outside. When you're playing, of course, put your game face on, but that doesn't mean that you have to always be in each other's faces just because you're tagged as the arch rivals.
And that also brings us to someone who did very well yesterday, Kuldeep Yadav.
Yes, absolutely. It was great to see Kuldeep play so well. A 5-wicket haul again for Kuldeep Yadav. I would of course, Virat Kohli walked away with the Man of the Match award. But if you ask me, I thought Kuldeep was a great contender for the Man of the Match award, because it wasn't just enough that India put on this mammoth score batting first. It was also a question of the Indian bowlers doing very well, and the way they ran through the Pakistani batting order. 5 of those wickets that fell went to Kuldeep alone. 5 for 25, falling just marginally short really of his all-time best ODI match figures of 6 for 25. It's great to see Kuldeep do so well, because remember, he's also in India's World Cup squad, and he is going to be one of the first choice picks in the playing 11 whenever the team management sits down to pick the World Cup playing 11s. Because this time around, again, like last time, remember, the World Cup format is such that you have to be on your A game pretty much every single day. You have to play 9 matches back to back, because it's a round robin format. All 10 teams playing 9 matches is what you have to play. So it was great to see Kuldeep Yadav come out and do something like this. Having said that, KP, I would also like to quickly point out that I feel that Pakistani captain Babar Azam missed a trick, because they won the toss, and I feel that he should not have opted to bowl first. Everything said and done, this was a good batting track once you got your eyes in, and once you realized what the rain is doing to the pitch, and you saw what happened with India scoring a mammoth 356 for 2. Just 2 wickets fell. Imagine, 209 runs is what they scored on the reserve day in 25.5 overs. Virat and KL both remaining unbeaten. Pakistan, the bowlers, who are very, very good bowlers, remember, had absolutely no answers to the way India was batting. So I think Babar Azam, when you look back, of course, hindsight is perfect vision, but when you look back, I think Babar missed a trick there.
Also, we want to talk a little bit about the other stars of Team India, because some of them are coming back after breaks. And there is always that question of, will they find form, will they not find form? and they have had injuries in the last many months. So, there's Jasprit Bumrah, Hardik Pandya. What about all of these players? Because everything seemed to be working for India in the last couple of days while this ODI was being played.
Absolutely. It was a complete performance by Team India in the batting department, the bowling department, and also in the fielding department. The way they ran through Pakistan, like I mentioned, 128 all out. You don't get to see that very often. A 228 run win against a team which till very recently was ranked number 1 in the ICC ODI rankings. If I can remember correctly, they keep coming into the Asia Cup in their last 10 bilateral series. Pakistan won 8 and lost only 2. So that's the kind of form that Babar Azam and company came into this Asia Cup with. Big contenders to win the title. Almost on an even keel with India, according to me. But the way Team India played in this match, which again was played over 2 days, and that's always very difficult to do, regardless of what sport you're playing. You've seen that in tennis, for instance, a high pressure match being played, and then there's rain, and the players have to come back the next day to pick up from where they left off. This is exactly what happened here, because the match doesn't begin from the first ball again. You have to pick up from where you were the day before that. So you have to be completely switched on. It was also good to see, like you mentioned, players who were on the sidelines for a long time, players like Jasprit Bumrah, who of course came back in the Ireland series before this, where he was standing captain in India, went on to win that T20I series against the Irish. Someone like KL Rahul, again coming back after a long injury layoff. Hardik Pandya, of course, has been around, and he is a key member of this Indian team. He's also, remember, the vice captain also for the World Cup. So, and someone who's a genuine all-rounder, just like Ravindra Jadeja. The only difference being Hardik is a fast bowling all-rounder and Jadeja is a spinning all-rounder. But these two are genuine all-rounders that India have in their ranks, and of course worth their weight in gold. But having said that, India need to make sure that they don't take their foot off the pedal. The good news for India is that they are going to be playing the World Cup in conditions which are going to be largely similar, because the World Cup will be in India. These are, of course, Sri Lankan conditions, and India, remember, playing their matches only in Sri Lanka, because they are, of course, not going to Pakistan to play any Asia Cup matches. But overall, it's good to see these players come back and step up to the plate against the toughest opposition that India is going to face in the Asia Cup. Sri Lanka is capable of springing a surprise, yes, but if you look at all the teams man for man, there's no doubt whatsoever that Pakistan is the strongest opposition, and they have, blown them away, really.
And in case you thought that the forecast was the reason that you didn't catch the match, we suggest you really do take a look at the highlights if you can't catch the entire match all over again.
From breaking news, detailed analysis, in-depth interviews and explainers, follow the Times of India. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest.